Welcome to day 40 of our Python course. In this session, we will dive into web development with Flask, a lightweight framework in Python. The objective is to learn how to build a simple web application using Flask. We will cover the basics including routing, template rendering, and handling forms. Let's start with an introduction to Flask. Flask is a microwave framework for Python which is lightweight and easy to use. Unlike Django, which is a full-fledged web framework, Flask gives you more control and flexibility to add only the components you need, making it great for small to medium-sized web applications and APIs. Now let's see how to install Flask and set up a basic project. You can install Flask using pip by typing pip install flask in your terminal. Once installed, we will create a simple project structure. You will have a app.py file for your main code, a templates folder for your HTML files, and a static folder for CSS and JavaScript. To create a basic Flask application, you need to import Flask and render template. The app is initialized with Flask name. The @app.router decorator defines the URL path, and in this case it's the home page, which renders an index.html template. Finally, we use app.run debug equals to true to start the server, enabling debugging for easier development. Flask uses routing to map URL paths to functions. In this example, we have defined a route for the About page. Additionally, Flask allows dynamic routing. We can pass parameters like username in the URL, and Flask will render the corresponding content like greeting a user with their name. Flask allows you to handle user input via HTML forms. Here's an example of a simple form where the user enters their username. We use the post method to send the data to the server, and in Flask, we access the form data using request.form. Once the form is submitted, we can delete the user by their name. Flask uses Jinja 2, a powerful templating engine, to render dynamic content. In our template, we can pass variables like name from Python to the HTML. For example, when visiting a URL like /greet/John, Flask will render a greeting saying "Hello John" by substituting the placeholder name with the actual value. Static files like images, CSS, and JavaScript can be served from the static folder. In this example, we are linking a CSS file using the URL for function to ensure that Flask properly serves the static file. This allows us to style our web pages with custom CSS. To run the Flask app, we use the command python app.py in the terminal. This starts the Flask development server, and you can access your web application in the browser at http 127.0.0.1:5000. Flask will automatically reload the server when you make changes, which is great for development. For your practice, I suggest building a simple to-do list application using Flask. In this mini project, you will create functionality to add, view, and delete tasks. You will work with forms for user input and dynamically render the tasks using templates, helping reinforce the concepts we have learned so far. As we conclude, here are some advanced topics to explore. Once you are comfortable with Flask basics, you can dive into more complex features like session handling for storing user data, implementing user authentication, and even deploying your Flask application to a production server. These will take your web development skills to the next level.